Good morning, beloveds. We had a front come through, and it was 42. Well, it feels like it was 42 when we left to go meet the trainer. So of course we went in a jacket, and about 3/4 of the way through the workout, I was like, I'm done with the jacket. I have to take the jacket off because I got hot. But yeah, the weather is just weird. Very weird. Very weird. Although I am enjoying the cooler temperatures. It's nice to have the cooler temperatures. I'm just a little, it can be a brutal summer. So whatever maintenance you need to do on your AC unit, do it now before it gets, this is living in Texas. So, all right. It is April 21st. Let's see if I can get the 21st. Okay. And our title is, I Let God's Perfect Will Be Mine This Day. And it is Thy Will Be Done from Matthew 6:10. I am the agent of the eternal. I am an ambassador at large for God. His will is that I shall express all his attributes, and I do this with joy. In me, the will of God is accomplished by my right thinking, right loving, right action. I love to do all the will of my Father, for as I do it, I have increased good in my life. I let my light shine before men, that they, seeing the light, shall glorify my Father. I am aware of a divine purpose and a divine plan. God knows what he is doing, and in me, God always knows what to do. I am a part of his plan, and I play this part with my whole being. In me, the mind of God is in full control, and this is my security. Knowing that the will of God is for greater good, I let that will be mine now. I cooperate fully with the indwelling Spirit. I turn within to the Spirit for the answer to every question and the solution to every problem. I accept the divine design of my life. Ahead of me is a planned road of ever unfolding good. Each day brings added power. Each hour brings new and greater possibilities for my achievement. I look ahead and see my spiritual destiny evolve with ease. There is nothing to cause fear, worry, or discontent, for God's will is my certainty of good. I rest in the complete assurance that God's idea of me is perfect. God only knows that I am alive with his life, radiant with his health, and expressing fully his purpose. All of this I now know for myself. I let God's perfect will be mine this day. And one of the things that I kept hearing echoing in my head was my prayer partner, who, and she says this in serious moments and in funny moments. She says, I don't know, but I know something that does. Let's go there. Sometimes she's talking about Google. That's when she's being funny. Most of the time she's talking about God. And that is kind of the grace of this. The grace is we don't always know the answer, but we know something that does. And so we go to that place where we meet that unfiltered God and we listen. And sometimes we come out of that and we don't know. We still don't have the answer, but we come out with a sense of peace and a sense of calm that makes us open to when the answer does show up, because it may come via, who knows? We might see a billboard, we might hear something on the radio, a friend might say something. And when they do that, then there's our answer, which we might not have heard if we hadn't put ourselves in the mind of. We might not be open to it. So I don't know the answer. Let me go to something that does. I am opening my consciousness up and being I don't know what word it was that I just wanted, but aware that the answer can come to me through a variety of ways, not just the way I think it is. If I was like, the answer can only come this way, I'm limiting my choices. And God has a multitude of ways of getting stuff to us. So, I don't know, but I know something that does. Let's go there. So, I let God's perfect will be mine this day. Let me remind you that perfect means whole. It means all inclusive. It does not mean flawless. Because he uses perfect in here. They, Ernest and Raymond, use perfect several times. And we can get a little weird about that word, but perfect means whole, all inclusive. Everything is included. All right? It doesn't mean flawless, because I make mistakes all the time. I try and learn from them when I do, though. So the very first statement is, I am the agent of the eternal. I am the agent of eternal. What does that mean? That means that we're literally the hands and feet of God. God can accomplish for us what God can accomplish through us. And sometimes we are the answer to somebody else's prayer. So we are the agent of the eternal. I am the ambassador at large for God. You are the ambassador at large for God. And that's one of the reasons why I say, don't tell me about your God, show me your God. Because I will see your God in the words that you use, in the actions that you take, in the decisions that you make. I will see your God in how you live. I will see your God in how you treat other people. I will see your God especially in how you treat people that don't look like you, that don't talk like you, that don't sound like you, that don't, live in your community. That's where I'm going to see your God. God's will is that I shall express all of God's attributes, and I do this with joy. So over the year, from the 365 Signs of Mind, and already in this, we've talked about what those attributes are. They are peace, they are love, they are joy, they are harmony, they are creativity, they are, all of those, truth, beauty, all of those things. And that's what we want to express. That's what we want to express all the time. In me, the will of God is accomplished by my right thinking, right loving, and right action. What does that mean? That means in those attributes. Right thinking is inclusive. I'm not thinking just about myself. I'm not thinking just about the people that I care about. I think about people that I don't know. Right loving is the same thing. The reason Jesus said to love your neighbor is because Jesus knew that your neighbor wouldn't necessarily look like you, wouldn't necessarily think like you, wouldn't necessarily, do the same things you do. So right loving is loving your neighbor. And your neighbor includes people that you know and people that you don't. And right action, is it good for everyone? Who benefits from the action that you're taking? If you are the only benefit, that's not a bad thing. But it is if you benefit and you take away from other people. If you benefit and it doesn't hurt anybody, great. If you benefit and everybody else benefits, even better. That's what we mean by right action. In Science of Mind, what we talk about, what we know for ourselves, we know for everybody. So when I know prosperity for myself, I know prosperity for absolutely everybody. If I know love for myself, I know love for absolutely everybody. I'm never in the mindset that my good has to takes away from somebody else. It's not the way we work. I love to do the will of my God, for as I do it, I have increased good in my life. Good tends to multiply itself. So the more good that I have, the more good that I do, the more good that I feel, the more good that's around me, the more good that I share just by virtue of having it around. And I'm not talking about just stuff here. I'm talking about that good mood, those good words, those good thoughts, those good feelings. Because you know, when you come in contact with a person who is happy, you walk away feeling a little bit better. I let my light shine before people, that they, seeing the light, shall glorify my spirit, my God. Because my God is the same God that I share with everybody else. We all just call him different names. So I actually think I let my light shine before men, that they see that light, that they seeing the light shall glorify my Father is a quote. He just didn't put it in quotes, so I changed the words. I am aware of a divine purpose and a divine plan. God knows what God is doing, and in me, God always knows what to do. So if I don't know the answer, I know where I can go. And if I don't feel like I can get the answer, I have people that I can go to and say, hey, help me. And they will treat for me. Now, they may treat right there in the moment with me, or they may just carry it off and do treatment in their own time. And that's okay too. They don't have to do the treatment for me, because I don't expect them to give me the answer. What I am expecting them to do is to hold that space for me until I can hold it for myself, so that the answer comes to me. But sometimes I go to them and say, hey, this is what's going on. And they say, oh, ooh, what about this? Sometimes they do give you the answer. That's not the goal. That's not the purpose of practitioners, though. They hold space for you to find your own answers, because your answer is generally already within you. You just need to be open to it. Okay. Let's see. I am part of God's plan, and I play this part with my whole being. All in. I'm all in. Am I always all in? No. But it works better when I am. So when I am doing things that I know, it's like, oh, let me be all in. Because it doesn't work so well if I'm not all in. In me, the mind of God is in full control, and I know this as my security. How do you know the difference between God and ego? Ego is selfish. Ego is incredibly selfish. Ego has a purpose. I'm not making ego bad or wrong. I'm simply saying ego is selfish. So sometimes we hear people say, well, God told me. Okay. Well, maybe God did. Who benefits from what God told you? Does everybody benefit from what God told you? Absolutely, I believe it's from God. Do only certain people benefit from what God told you? Maybe. Does it take away from anybody else? God didn't tell you that. That was ego. Knowing that the will of God is for the greater good. And that's what I'm talking about, the greater good. I let that will be mine now. The greater good. It's always more than me. What I know for myself, I know for everybody. What I know for you, I know for everybody. I cooperate fully with the indwelling spirit. I turn within to this spirit for the answers to every question and the solution to every problem. The answers are available. Always. Do they come from unusual places? Yes. Are they coming from spirit? Absolutely. But spirit has this multitude of ways of getting them to us. It is up to us to be awake, aware, and conscious, and to see those answers when they pop up. That's what spiritual work is about. That's what spiritual practice is about. That is about recognizing that the answer is available and seeing it when it comes across. Because it's there. It's there. And we'll find it when we're ready. How do we get ready? Spiritual practice. I accept the divine design of my life. Ahead of me is a planned road of ever unfolding good. Okay, so planned road makes us kind of go, oh, divine plan, oh, divine design, ah, free choice. Yep. But the only thing that's planned for you is ever unfolding good. What you do with it, that's free will. That's free will. And your divine design, that divine plan, it's just you being you, authentically you. Not who society, religion, and culture have told you you are, but who you actually are. Sometimes you got to be an archaeologist, dig through the layers of what you've been told you, who you've been told you are, to figure out who you actually are. Each day brings added power. Each hour brings new and greater possibilities for my advancement. I look ahead and see my spiritual destiny evolve with ease. When you are about to make a major life change that's a little scary, there's a line for you. I look ahead and see my spiritual destiny evolve with ease. There is nothing to cause fear, worry, or discontent, for God's will is my certainty of good. God wants us to be happy. God wants us to be creative. God wants us to be loved. God wants us to be loved. God wants us to be joyful. God wants us to be harmonious. God wants us to be peaceful. That's God's will for us. Not some of the other things that we have been told. I rest in the complete assurance that God's idea of me is perfect. Again, God's idea of me is perfect, which means it's inclusive. There's nothing that is me that is not part of God's plan. So, who I love, where I, what I do, all of that is included. There's nothing that is wrong. Who you love is not wrong. What your skin color is not wrong. What you do is not wrong. I mean, there are caveats, but it really does come down to if it is a benefit to everyone and not taking away from anyone, then what does it matter? God's idea of me is perfect. Who I am from that place outwards is perfect. Everything is included. God only knows that I am alive with God's life, radiant with God's health, expressing fully God's purpose. All of the negative stuff that we can attach to ourselves, God doesn't see any of that. God only sees the divine spark, the divine child, divine godling that is here to express, to be, and to express in all those wonderful multitude of ways, because we are one. We are many from one. We are many from one. We are unity, not uniformity. All of this I now know for myself. I let God's perfect will be mine this day. And God's perfect will is for me to be me and for me to let you be you. And to celebrate with you who you are. Whatever that looks like. Whatever that looks like. All right, beloveds. Our mission today. Our mission is always to be an agent of the eternal, but our mission today is to be conscious of the fact that we are ambassadors at large of God. We're literally the hands, the feet, the heart, the ears, the eyes, the arms, the loving arms of God. So, are we being good ambassadors? Do people want to know our God because they've met us and they see the peace and the love and the joy and the harmony and the creativity, and they think, I want what she's got. I want to know her God. That's how we be ambassadors. We don't have to convince them with words. We just have to be our authentic selves. And one way to do that is to remember that we are beloved children of God always, in whom God is well pleased. Always, always and forever. So I'm going to encourage you to do something loving for yourself, do something kind for yourself, do something compassionate for yourself, because that is God's will for you. To be loving, to be kind, to be compassionate, and to start with yourself. That is God's will. That is what God wants for us. God wants us to love and be loved. God wants us to be kind and have kindness given to us. God wants us to be compassionate and wants us to be compassionate to others. And we start at home. We start with ourselves. We start with the people. We practice on the people that we can already do this with, so that we can extend that to the people that we don't know, to the people that don't look like us, that don't think like us, that don't love like us, because they're perfect too. They are included. All right. I do encourage you to do something to engage your mind and your body. Drink some water. Drink plenty of water. Today will probably be a really nice day here to open your windows. I mean, if you're in Colorado, it might be a bit cold. But open your curtains. Get some sunlight. Get some fresh sunlight right there on your face. First thing in the morning, best thing to reset your hormones. Get some fresh air. Get that fresh perspective. Go out and listen to the birds sing. Go out and listen to the birds sing. Do what you need to do to make it a wonderful day. All right? And as always, open the windows of your soul. Allow that breath of heaven to remind you that you do live in heaven now. It is up to us to see it and to bring more of it into our experience. All right? It is Wednesday, so couple of things that I know that are going on Wednesday nights. The Living the Science of Mind book study, I believe, is still going on. That's on Zoom at 6 p.m. If you're interested in that, email info@creativelife.org. That will get you our email, and you can get that Zoom link. We also have a soul session today with a remarkable young woman named Iris. That will be on Facebook Live at 7 and on YouTube later. I'm not going to promise I'll get it on YouTube tonight, the Creative Life Spiritual Center YouTube, but I should have it up by tomorrow. And as always, these talks are archived on the Running Rev Ryan YouTube channel. I don't want to clutter up the Spiritual Center YouTube channel any more than, so I archive these somewhere else. Feel free to go there too. All right, beloveds. Do what you need to do to make it a wonderful day and know that you are loved. All right? But come here, Iris. It's going to be a fantastic thing. 7 p.m. Facebook Live. And then tomorrow, it'll be up on YouTube on the Creative Life YouTube channel. All right? Know that you're loved.